course, this isn't really a new idea. It was certainly Darwin's foundation. People tend to think that he invented it, but it's been the undercurrent of philosophers and sociologists for hundreds of years. Darwin just turned it into a theory. We tend to disregard it because of how slowly it works itself out. One man's life isn't long enough to see its effects. You have to be in a sort of dialogue with the entire human race to come to any kind of awareness of it.
Obviously, we're talking millions of years in Darwin's case.
Yes.
And it's easy to see where it's gotten us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say that most people don't even consider the fact that we're all caught up in this process as we speak. We tend to think of evolution as something that wrapped itself up once we came along.
That's understandable. How would you know you're a step in the process when you don't know what it would like to be more than you are? Man is a glorious organism, the grandest proposition of the universe.
This is what you were getting at when your book identifies man as the synthesis of the universe?
Exactly. We've been born of an age-old dialectic of thesis and antithesis.
Right. So how do you feel about the pop culture obsession with the zombie? It's a huge genre that's devoted to the idea of a new form of creature arising from the static genes of humanity.
Well, first of all, it's not something I've ever lost any sleep over. The whole culture is a hypothetical fantasy realm for thrill seekers.
But you have to admit it raises an interesting question in light of your theory. If, say, the zombie were to become a real phenomenon, would we be right to exterminate it? How would we know that it's not Mother Nature's answer to the problem of humanity? Would the zombie displace us as the grandest proposition of the universe?
No. The zombie as it exists in the mind of our society is a regression. It's the isolation and exaggeration of the faults that remain in the human condition.
So, the human creature is still flawed?
Obviously. But the zombie is not the answer. If anything, the zombie is the antithesis. Were such a phenomenon to arise, it would only be useful as a stepping stone to a higher plane of true humanity. The thing itself would be a means to that end. Independently, it would be without value to the universe.
That seems like a pretty subjective opinion to me.
Of course, it's not as if we could, in practice, ever consider the zombie in isolation. The thing would be invaluable as a subject of research. It could potentially open up a whole new realm of eugenic research and provide answers to a few of the conundrums we struggle with in the genetic debate.
But the zombie would only have value as a means to that end?
It's hard to say, but you can't really be insinuating that the zombie, with its departure from rationality and return to brute instincts, could be a higher terrace of human development. There's no depth or beauty to the zombie, at least as it stands in the mind of our culture. It's just the fear of non-being taking a form that can be palpably known.
But...
It's so hypothetical in the first place. I don't see much use in expending the resources of science on such a vague, unlikely...
Piano Man by Billy Joel. I remember I heard that song all the time when I used to go to Vinny's barber shop for a shave. Vinny wasn't the barber, though. It was actually the name of the barber's dog.
Well, friends, you've been listening to WGEV 97.4. The time is now 7:20, or at least that's what I have on my watch. I think daylight saving time started the other day, so that should be an accurate adjusted time. Other than that, I guess there really isn't too much to say. All the other lines are silent. If you're listening right now, my heart goes out to you, as it goes out to everyone out there. You know there are daffodils that grow just outside of WGEV? I expect they're starting to come up now. But I can't see any of that from in here. Has the whole world gone the way of this awful place? Are we all waiting for the last lights to go when the generators give out? I've never been the sort of man who would believe that. But I guess this really hasn't shaped up the way I always believed it would. Folks, I read all the news. I've spun all the records. There really isn't too much left at this point. We might just be the final act. The last bow before the stage crew hauls away the show and the lights go out. I guess that would make humanity something of a tragedy. Part of me just, I never thought. I always just knew that wasn't the world we lived in. That our world had a better story than this. And that perhaps this isn't how things end. I guess we'll find out. Together. God help us.